It's 6 o'clock. Good evening. My name is Bukola Oloruntobi with News Spectrum on Midas Radio 90.5 FM, broadcasting live from ADO-EKITI. Here are the top stories. Ekiti government cracked down on illegal waste disposal. Former President Jonathan challenges suit to debar him from 2027 election. And on the foreign scene, Chadian opposition leaders bag 8-year jail term. Now the news in detail. Ekiti state government has arrested a man accused of dumping offensive waste into a stream near Summit Resort in ADO-EKITI, an intensified effort against illegal waste disposal. According to the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, the suspect was apprehended after residents reportedly raised the alarm when he allegedly attempted to flee the scene after discharging animal waste, including degraded cow blood, into the stream, causing severe odor nuisance in the area. Commissioner for Environment, Tosin Aluko-Ajishafe, condemned the incident and warned that the government would not tolerate acts capable of endangering public health, adding that the enforcement and surveillance operations have been intensified across the state. Authorities said fumigation and decontamination exercises were carried out in the affected area, while samples were taken for laboratory analysis to assess possible health and environmental risk. The federal government has begun settling part of the long-standing debt owed to electricity generation companies, describing the move as a major step towards restoring confidence in Nigeria's power sector. President and Group Chief Executive Officer of Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, OMOGBEHIN, discussed this at the company's annual general meeting in Abuja, noting that payments owed to Transcorp Power PLC are expected to commence later this year. Earlier, President Bola Tinubu approved a 3.3 trillion naira settlement plan to ease the burden of outstanding obligations owed to power generation companies and gas suppliers. OMOGBEHIN said that the government's recognition of the debt crisis marks a significant improvement compared to previous years, when operators struggled to secure official acknowledgement of the problem. In another bit, the federal government has called on the World Bank to speed up the approval and release of project funds for Nigeria, warning that prolonged delays could affect the country's willingness to continue with some funding arrangements. Accountant General of the Federation, Samsudeen Ogunjimi, made the appeal during a meeting with a World Bank delegation in Abuja. He stressed that the facilities involved are loans that must be repaid, not grants. Ogunjimi explained that delayed approvals often hinder the implementation of government development programs and projects tied to the facilities. He urged the bank to shorten its approval timelines and ensure quicker disbursement of funds to support Nigeria's economic and development priorities. Meanwhile, Minister-designate for Power, Joseph Tegbe, has denied reports claiming that he promised to fix Nigeria's power grid within 3 months. In a statement posted on X by his spokesperson, Adeola Adelabu, Tegbe described the report as a misrepresentation of remarks that he made during a Senate screening on May 6th. Adelabu clarified that Tegbe only noted timelines for power sector reforms were still being worked out and would depend on diagnostics and consultations with stakeholders. According to the statement, Tegbe assured senators that initial efforts to stabilize the national grid would begin within his first 100 days in office, while broader structural reforms could take about 1 year. On legal matters, former President Goodluck Jonathan has formally challenged a suit seeking to stop him from contesting the 2027 presidential election through his lawyer Chris Uche. Jonathan urged Justice Peter Lifo of the Federal High Court in Abuja to dismiss the case filed by lawyer John Mary Jideobi, which questions his eligibility to run. Earlier, counsel to the plaintiff Ndubuisi Ukpai informed the court that the matter was only for mention and that he had just been served by Jonathan's lawyer requesting more time to respond. Justice Lifo adjourned the case to May 11th for airing of Jonathan's objection and the substantive suit. In the meantime, factional leader of the African Democratic Congress, Nafiu Bala Gombe, has applied for the transfer of his case against the David Mark-led leadership of the party from Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal Court in Abuja. Gombe, through his lawyer, Luka Aruna, informed Justice Nwite of the application shortly after the matter was called for hearing, citing the recent Supreme Court decision. Aruna told the court that the Supreme Court had, on April 30th, dismissed Mark's interlocutory appeal against the case. Justice Nwite subsequently adjourned the suit indefinitely after the plaintiff revealed that he had petitioned the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court for reassignment to another judge. In another development, a faction of the People's Democratic Party aligned with Kabir Turaki has challenged the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, EMC Nwike, to carry out his threat of shutting down his operational office. Reacting to the warning, Principal Secretary to Turaki, Ibrahim Abdullahi, insisted that the group was already operating from a known location. He cautioned that the deepening internal crisis within the opposition party could destabilize the nation. Also responding, Ini Emobong, the spokesperson for Turaki faction, dismissed the weakest remarks as unrealistic and misleading. Still on court matters, a Plateau State High Court in Jos has filled July 1st and 2nd for the definite hearing and witness appearances in the terrorism trial linked to the Angwan Rukuba killings involving 4 defendants. Plateau State Attorney General Philemon Daffy led the prosecution team, while separate counsel appeared for the defendants facing charges bordering on terrorism and criminal conspiracy following the deadly Agwan Rukuba attack in Jos North local government area. During proceedings, defense lawyers urged the court to reserve rulings on pending jurisdictional objections until the end of the trial, but they argued that the issues should be first determined to avoid what he described as a journey in futility. Justice Fomion subsequently ruled that case management had been concluded in accordance with the law and adjourned the matter to May 26th, while fixing July 1st and 2nd for the commencement of hearing and witness testimonies. Separately, Nigerian activist Omoyele Sowore has accused Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court in Abuja of bias in his ongoing cyberbullying trial filed by the Department of State Services. Sowore had entered a no-case submission asking the court to discharge and accuse him of the second count charge of cyberbullying President Bola Tinubu. The judge dismissed the application and ordered Sowore to open his defense on May 19th alongside his request for the judge's recusal. Speaking to newsmen after the ruling, Sowore alleged that Justice Umar was siding with the federal government to frustrate his political ambition, stressing that dismissal of his application amounted to a pre-conviction. He urged the judge to step aside to another judge could handle the case. On education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board has extended the registration deadline for the 2026 Direct Entry Application Exercise. According to the latest update, registration will now continue until May 22nd, 2026, giving prospective direct entry candidates additional time to complete their applications. The extension is expected to accommodate applicants who are yet to finalize their registration due to delays in obtaining required credentials and other relevant documents. The board is, however, expected to intensify preparations for the commencement of the 2026 admission exercise following the upcoming admission policy meeting scheduled for May 11th. Newly appointed Minister of Foreign Affairs Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu has officially assumed duty as the ministry's headquarters in Abuja following her appointment by President Bola Tinubu. In a statement, ministry spokesperson Kimebi Ebienfa said that the appointment reflects the federal government's confidence in Odumegu Ojukwu's leadership and diplomatic experience. During reception, the minister pledged to build on the achievements recorded under President Tinubu's administration and advance Nigeria's foreign policy objectives. She reaffirmed the government's commitment to implementing the country's foreign policy agenda, which focuses on democracy, development, diaspora, and demography. And on the foreign scene, 8 Chadian opposition leaders have been sentenced to 8 years in prison in N'Djamena, the country's capital. The defendants were taken into custody following a judicial investigation into charges of criminal association, rebellion, and illegal possession of weapons of war. Reacting to the ruling, the defense lawyer Mosa Hadom said that he was disappointed but not surprised, describing the judgment as based on non-existent offenses. He added that they would appeal the case at the Criminal Court of Appeal to seek a ruling free from political influence. The opposition member Zua Holpat of group opposed to President Muhammad Debi has been detained a week before a protest march that was banned by the government. You're still listening to News Spectrum on Midas Radio 90.5 FM, ADO-EKITI.
protect the land of honor and integrity. Please visit www.midasradio905.fm for more information, and you can follow us across our social media platforms at Midas Radio 905 for regular updates. You can also download our app on Apple or Play Store for convenient access and your listening pleasure. Midas Radio cares about you, and we are committed to bringing you stories that matter.
Thanks for staying with us. Up next is sports and entertainment news.
Get ready for sports.
On sports, the Nigeria Football Federation has announced the appointment of Abdul Meikaba and Eboboritse Uweja-Momere as head coaches of the men's national under-20 and the under-17 boys national teams. The NFF announced that Executive Committee of the Nigeria Football Federation endorsed the recommendation of the Federation's Technical and Development Committee for their appointments. Meikaba and Uweja-Momere's appointment followed the reshuffling of the backroom of all age-grade national football team. In the meantime, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria has opened a training camp in Lagos and named a 45-man squad for the 2026 Confederation of African Athletics Senior Athletics Championships in Accra, Ghana. The move set the stage for a coordinated national push at the Continental Showpiece scheduled to begin on May 12. Athletes who represented Nigeria at the World Relays in Botswana moved directly into camp after arriving in the country, with training sessions expected to begin at the Yabatech Sports Complex. Finally, AFC Bournemouth have removed their defender Alex Jimenez from their squad as the club investigates posts circulating on social media involving the player. In an official statement, Bournemouth said the club are aware of posts circulating on social media involving Jimenez and currently investigating the matter due to its seriousness. With the development, the 21-year-old Spanish right-back will not feature in the Premier League clash against Fulham tomorrow. That's it on Sport Updates. My name is Oluwasegun Adeleke. Good evening.
It's time for entertainment news.
On entertainment happenings, Nigerian artist David Adeleke, known as Davido, has been named an inductee for the 2026 Black Music and Entertainment Walk of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. The organizers announced Davido as part of this year's class ahead of the induction ceremony scheduled for June 1 in Atlanta's historic West Side. Other inductees listed include Ludacris, Atlanta-based artist and philanthropist Paul Morton, renowned gospel singer, and Maynard Jackson, former Atlanta mayor. Davido's recognition for the Walk of Fame is coming when he is marking 15 years on stage as a musician. In the meantime, Nigerian artist Adekunle Gold has revealed that his 5-year-old daughter, Ade Jare Kosoko, is already showing signs of becoming a musician. Speaking on a podcast, Gold said he has noticed a growing interest in music and believes she could pursue it in the future. During the interview, he also dismissed reports that he and his wife, Simi, recently welcomed twins. He clarified that they welcomed the baby boy, contrary to rumors. Finally, the Africa Magic Viewers' Choice Awards, AMVCA, has announced the nominees for its 12th edition, with the main ceremony scheduled for tomorrow. The nominees were announced live on Africa Magic's channel, hosted by AMVCA winning actor Chimezie Imo. This year's edition features 32 categories comprising 18 jury-voted awards, 11 audience-voted categories, and 3 special recognition awards, including Lifetime Achievements and Trailblazer Honors. The AMVCA introduced 2 new categories, including the Best Indigenous Language Film, North Africa, and Best Indigenous Language Film, Central Africa, to strengthen the award's Pan-Africa representation. That's it on entertainment happenings. My name is Ayotunde Adebiyi. Good evening.
That's News Spectrum this evening, but before we go, here is a recap of the top stories. Ekiti state government has arrested a man accused of dumping offensive waste into a stream near Summit Resort in ADO-EKITI in intensified effort against illegal waste disposal. Former President Goodluck Jonathan has formally challenged the suit seeking to stop him from contesting the 2027 presidential election. And on the foreign scene, 8 Chadian opposition leaders have been sentenced to 30 years in prison in N'Djamena, the country's capital. That's News Spectrum on behalf of the production crew led by Blessing Ogundala. My name is Bukola Oloruntobi. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Ìròyìn ní yàjó bó ṣe ń ṣẹlẹ̀ lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ ohun tó yẹ kẹ́ ẹ gbọ́ nílẹ̀ yìí àti káàkiri àgbáyé ọ̀rọ̀ òṣèlú ìròyìn ilẹ̀ òkèrè ìròyìn okòwò eré ìdárayá ìròyìn amúlùdùn àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ gbogbo ẹ̀ lórí Midas Radio 90.5 FM ìròyìn tí ò láfiwé ó tuntun ó ṣe sàn án kò lábùlà ó yá àkókò ti tó láti gbọ́ àwọn ìròyìn tó jọjú.
ẹ kúrọ̀lẹ́ ẹ sì kú iṣẹ́ látàárọ̀ ìròyìn Jale Jako la mú wá fún yín láti ìkànnì Midas Radio 90.5 FM JAYE OMOGBEHIN lórúkọ mi ṣáájú ẹgbọ́ kókó tí ń bẹ nínú ìròyìn náà. Ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì gbójú agan sí dídà ìdọ̀tí lọ́nà àìtọ́. Ààrẹ ilẹ̀ yìí tẹ́lẹ̀ Jonathan ní pé ẹjọ́ lórí òfin tó dé láti díje fún ipò ààrẹ ti ọdún 2027. Látilẹ̀ òkèrè àwọn alátakò ilẹ̀ Chad ni wọ́n ti rán ní ẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún 8 báyìí ìròyìn ọ̀hún rèé lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́. Ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì ló ti fòfin gbé ọkùnrin kan tí wọ́n ní ó ń da ìdọ̀tí sí odò kan tó wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ Summit Resort nílùú ADO-EKITI nínú ìgbìyànjú rẹ̀ láti mú òpin dé bá ká máa da ìdọ̀tí sáwọn ibi tí kò yẹ nípínlẹ̀ yìí. Afurasí ọ̀hún ni ọwọ́ tẹ̀ lẹ́yìn tí wọ́n ní àwọn ará àdúgbò kégbà jáde nígbà tó ń gbìyànjú láti sá kúrò ní oríkù ọ̀hún. Afurasí náà ni wọ́n ní ó ń da àwọn nǹkan ìdọ̀tí tó fi mọ́ ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ ẹran àti ẹ̀jẹ̀ màlúù sínú odò náà tó wá ń fa òórùn lágbègbè ọ̀hún. Ìjọba àpapọ̀ ilẹ̀ yìí ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sísan àwọn gbèsè tí wọ́n jẹ àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ tó ń pèsè iná mọ̀nàmọ́ná lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí. Wọ́n wá júwe ìgbésẹ̀ ọ̀hún gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìgbésẹ̀ akin lójúnà àti mú iná ọba dúró dédé lórílẹ̀‐èdè Nàìjíríà. Ọ̀gá àgbà àjọ Transnational Corporation of Nigeria Owen Omogiafo tó fọ̀rọ̀ yìí léde nínú ìpàdé àwọn ilé-iṣẹ́ ọ̀hún tó wáyé l'Àbújá ṣàlàyé wípé gbèsè tí wọ́n jẹ ilé-iṣẹ́ Transcorp Power PLC ni wọ́n yóò bẹ̀rẹ̀ sísan rẹ̀ láìpẹ́. Ààrẹ Tinubu ló ti kọ́kọ́ bọ̀wọ́ lu tírílíọ̀nù 3.7 náírà gẹ́gẹ́ bí owó tí wọ́n yóò fi ṣe àdínkù fáwọn gbèsè ọ̀hún. ìjọba àpapọ̀ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ló ti rọ báǹkì àgbáyé láti tètè jáwé sóbì owó ìrànwọ́ tó tọ́ sí orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n ní bí owó yìí bá pẹ́ ó lè ṣe ìdíwọ́ àwọn iṣẹ́ ìdàgbàsókè kọ̀ọ̀kan lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Aṣírò owó àgbà ilẹ̀ yìí Samsudeen Ògúnjìmí ló rawọ́ ẹ̀bẹ̀ yìí nínú ìpàdé tó wáyé pẹ̀lú àwọn aṣojú báǹkì àgbáyé tí Fred Lane léwájú wọn wá sílùú Àbújá. Ó ní àwọn owó náà ló jẹ́ èyí tí ìjọba yóò san padà. Aṣírò owó àgbà wọn ni ó ṣe pàtàkì kí owó yìí tètè dé kí ìjọba àpapọ̀ lè ní àǹfààní láti ṣe àwọn àkànṣe iṣẹ́ tó yẹ kán ṣe lásìkò. Ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè tẹ́lẹ̀ Goodluck Jonathan ló ti pe ẹjọ́ báyìí láti dábò ìdájọ́ tó ní kò láǹfààní láti díje du ipò ààrẹ fọdún 2027. Nígbà tí wọ́n pe ọjọ́ òun ni agbẹjọ́rò Jonathan Chris Uche ti sọ fún onídàájọ́ Peter Luffy tilé ẹjọ́ gíga tìjọba àpapọ̀ tó wà l'Àbújá kó fẹ́ ìyanwọ́ tari ìdájọ́ tó de Jonathan láti má láǹfààní mọ́ láti díje du ipò ààrẹ nílẹ̀ yìí. Ṣáájú ni agbẹjọ́rò olùpẹ̀jọ́ Ndubuisi Ukpa ti sọ fún ilé ẹjọ́ wípé ó nílò àkókò díẹ̀ láti ṣàgbéyàwó ẹjọ́ náà àti pé agbẹjọ́rò Jonathan ọgbà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ilé ẹjọ́ wá sún ẹjọ́ náà sí ọjọ́ 11 oṣù karùn-ún ọdún tó wà nínú rẹ̀ yìí. Adarí igun kan nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú African Democratic Congress Nafiu Bala Gombe ló ti kọ̀wé báyìí wípé kí wọ́n gbé ẹjọ́ tó ní pẹ̀lú igun tí David Mark ń darí nínú ẹgbẹ́ ọ̀hún kúrò lọ́wọ́ onídàájọ́ Emeka Nwite tilé ẹjọ́ gíga ti ìjọba àpapọ̀ tó fìkàlẹ̀ sílùú Àbújá. Gombe ló gba tẹnu agbẹjọ́rò rẹ̀ Luka Haruna sọ fún onídàájọ́ Nwite ní kété tí wọ́n ní wọ́n sún ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún sí àsìkò tí ò tiẹ̀ ní gbèǹdéke. Wọ́n wá ní lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tí a wà yìí o ohun tó ṣe pàtàkì ni pé kí ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún kó kúrò lọ́wọ́ onídàájọ́ ọ̀hún kí ẹlòmíràn kó sì rọ́pò rẹ̀ nínú ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún. Agbẹjọ́rò Luka Haruna sọ fún ilé ẹjọ́ pé ilé ẹjọ́ tó ga jùlọ nílẹ̀ yìí ti kọ́kọ́ gbé ìdájọ́ kalẹ̀ lọ́gbọ̀n ọjọ́ oṣù kẹrin ọdún tí a wà nínú rẹ̀ yìí wípé Mark kò lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ láti pe ẹjọ́ kò tẹ́mi lọ́rùn lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ẹjọ́ náà. Ilé ẹjọ́ gíga ti ìpínlẹ̀ Plateau ló ti mú ọjọ́ kìíní àti ìkejì oṣù keje ọdún yìí gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn ọjọ́ tí ìgbẹ́jọ́ àti ẹlẹ́rìí yóò farahàn lórí ẹjọ́ ìgbésùnmọ̀mí nípa àkọlù ìpànìyàn tó wáyé ní Agbanuru Kuba tó sì jẹ́ àwọn 4 ní olùjẹ́jọ́. Agbèfọ́ba àgbà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Plateau Philemon Daffy tó léwájú àwọn agbẹjọ́rò wá sílé ẹjọ́ lórí ẹ̀sùn àkọlù náà tó mú ẹ̀mí ọ̀pọ̀ ènìyàn lọ ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ àríwá Jos. Nínú ìgbẹ́jọ́ ni àwọn agbẹjọ́rò olùjẹ́jọ́ ti rọ ilé ẹjọ́ láti jẹ́ kí ìgbẹ́jọ́ wáyé kó sì parí dáadáa lórí ẹ̀sùn ọ̀hún. Onídàájọ́ Fomyom wá ní gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ ti parí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ náà ó wá sún ẹjọ́ ọ̀hún sí ọjọ́ 26 oṣù karùn-ún ọdún yìí ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ẹlẹ́rìí yóò farahàn lọ́jọ́ kìíní àti ìkejì oṣù keje ọdún tí a wà nínú rẹ̀ yìí. Ìròyìn Jale Jako lẹ̀ ń gbọ́ láti ìkànnì Midas Radio 90.5 FM.
rántí láti dáàbò bo ilẹ̀ yìí àti ẹ̀yẹ ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ìtàkùn www.midasradio905.fm fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ ìròyìn ẹ tún lè tẹ̀lé wa lórí àwọn ìtàkùn ayélujára wa gbogbo @midasradio905 fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ ìròyìn lóòrèkóòrè ẹ tún lè download app Midas Radio lórí Apple tàbí Play Store fún àǹfààní láti gbọ́ wa kétékété. Ìkànnì Midas Radio wà fún àbójútó rẹ a sì ní ìpinnu láti fún ọ ní ìròyìn tó jọjú.
Ẹ káàbọ̀ padà ìròyìn Jale Jako ń tẹ̀ síwájú. Àjà fún ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn ní orílẹ̀-èdè yìí Ọmọyẹlé Sowore ló ti ní onídàájọ́ Mohammed Umaru ti ilé ẹjọ́ gíga tó fìkàlẹ̀ sílùú Àbújá ń ṣe màgòmágó lórí ẹjọ́ rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àjọ tẹlẹ̀múyẹ́ DSS lórílẹ̀-èdè yìí tó wà níwájú onídàájọ́ náà. Sowore ló ti kọ́kọ́rọ́ ilé ẹjọ́ kó fẹ̀yìnwọ́ da ẹjọ́ tí àjọ DSS pè nù bí omi ṣanwọ́. Àjọ DSS ló wọ́ Sowore lọ́lé ẹjọ́ wípé ó sọ àwọn kòbákùgbé ọ̀rọ̀ sí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu. Onídàájọ́ ní kò gba rírọ̀ Sowore tó sì ní kó múra láti wí àwíjàre lórí ẹ̀sùn tí àjọ DSS fi kàn án lọ́jọ́ 19 oṣù kẹrin ọdún yìí. Nígbà tó ń bá àwọn oníròyìn sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìgbẹ́jọ́ ọ̀hún tó wáyé lónìí ní Sowore ní onídàájọ́ márùn-ún fìdí ti ìjọba àpapọ̀ lórí ẹjọ́ náà. Ó wá rọ onídàájọ́ náà kó jọ̀wọ́ ẹjọ́ náà kẹ́lòmíràn kó lè jẹ́ adájọ́ lórí ẹ̀sùn tí wọ́n fi kàn án náà. Mínísítà fún ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ òkèrè tí wọ́n ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ yàn Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu ló ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ báyìí ní ọ́fíìsì rẹ̀ tó wà nílùú Àbújá lẹ́yìn tí ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu ti kéde rẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí mínísítà tuntun fún àjọ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ ilẹ̀ òkèrè lórílẹ̀‐èdè yìí. Agbẹnusọ àjọ ọ̀hún Kìmí Ebiẹ̀fà ó ní ìyànsípò yìí ló ṣàfihàn wípé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ní ìgbàgbọ́ tó dáńgájíá nínú Odumegu Ojukwu àti wípé ó ní ìrírí tó kájú rẹ̀. Nínú ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ ní mínísítà ọ̀hún ní òun yóò sa gbogbo ipá òun wò láti múlé ìpínlẹ̀ ìṣèjọba ààrẹ Bọ́lá Tinubu láti lè mú ìdàgbàsókè bá ìbáṣepọ̀ tó wà láàrin orílẹ̀-èdè Nàìjíríà àti ilẹ̀ òkèrè. Láti ilẹ̀ òkèrè, àwọn adarí alátakò 8 ti orílẹ̀-èdè Chad ni wọ́n ti fi sí ẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún 8 báyìí ní N'Djamena. Àwọn 8 ọ̀hún ni wọ́n fi sí àhámọ́ lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ lórí ẹ̀sùn tó jọmọ́ ọ̀daràn ọ̀tẹ̀ dídì àti lílo ohun ìjà bíi ìbọn lọ́nà àìtọ́. Nígbà tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn ìdájọ́, agbẹjọ́rò àwọn olùjẹ́jọ́ Musa Adon ní ìdájọ́ náà kò jọ òun lójú, àmọ́ òun ní ìjákulẹ̀ nínú ìdájọ́ òun àti nínú ilé ẹjọ́ tí ó ṣe ìdájọ́ náà. Bákan náà ló sọ wípé àwọn oníbàárà òun wọn ò ṣe ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ kankan lórí ẹ̀sùn tí wọ́n fi kàn wọ́n. Ó wá ní òun yóò pe ẹjọ́ kò tẹ́milọ́rùn lórí ìdájọ́ òun ní N'Djamena kí ìdájọ́ lè wáyé láìlọ́wọ́ òṣèlú nínú. Àwọn alátakò ọ̀hún ló jẹ́ àwọn tí wọ́n ṣe lòdì sí ìṣèjọba ààrẹ Mahamat Deby ti orílẹ̀-èdè ọ̀hún tí wọ́n sì fi sí àhámọ́ ní ọ̀sẹ̀ kan kó tó di wípé wọ́n ṣe ìwọ́de ìfẹ̀hónúhàn tí ìjọba padà fi òfin dè. Kí ìròyìn Jale Jako yìí tó wá sí ìparí kókó inú rẹ̀ rí lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i. Àfitóyín létí nínú ìròyìn náà wípé ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Èkìtì fòfin gbé arákùnrin kan tó da ìdọ̀tí lọ́nà àìtọ́. Bákan náà ló tún wà nínú ìròyìn tẹ̀sẹ̀ gbọ́tàn wípé ààrẹ ilẹ̀ yìí tẹ́lẹ̀ Jonathan pé ẹjọ́ lórí òfin tó dé láti díje du ipò ààrẹ ti ọdún 2027. Láti ilẹ̀ òkèrè láti fi tóyin létí wípé àwọn alátakò ilẹ̀ Chad ni wọ́n ti rán ní ẹ̀wọ̀n ọdún 8 ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ báyìí. Ìròyìn Jale Jako tí Blessing Ogundọlá jẹ́ olóòtú rẹ̀ kò ní jù báyìí lọ. Jayé ọmọgbẹ̀yìn lórúkọ mi, mo kí yín ẹ kú ìrọ̀lẹ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i.
Wàtí máa gbọ́ Midas Radio náà sọ lọ́wọ́ 90.5 FM ADO-EKITI náà pè bí. Ìròyìn ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ ó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ sẹ́pẹ́. Ètò àgbọ̀ fi kọ́gbọ́n Midas Radio lẹ ti gbọ́. Ẹ má forí gbogbo wẹ́tà tí oró láyé. Midas Radio yìí kò má lálàfiwé. Ọlọ́run ló ṣe yìí, ẹ má jìnnà sí rárá. Midas Radio yìí táwọn yọ 90.5 FM. Òun lọmọdé ń gbọ́, òun làwọn àgbà ń gbọ́. Èmi kan Jídé mi wọ́n dà mí ò jẹ́ fi ṣeré rárá. Oníṣòwò oníṣòwò ẹ̀wà polówó. Ìpolówó ọjà tẹ̀rí yẹn làágùn mú owó. Midas Radio 90.5. Ìkànnì ìdá alágàjù ó ti yá. Midas Radio 90.5. Ẹ máa gbọ́. Ìkànnì ìdá alágàjù kò ṣe nìkan gbọ́. ADO-EKITI la wà.